Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, welcome into Daily Wolves. It is me, as always, Chris. Not always, I mean most of the time. I'm usually here. It's always one of three, but generally I'm pretty good chances, therefore, that my ratio is here. I'm babbling now, but with me, as always, is Will. Hey, Will.
Yes, hello, how are we? And happy Friday.
Yes, I love it when they steal my lines. I love it. But yeah, happy Friday. Because we're that far into the week, I'm now at a point where don't worry, all of that depression is still in the back of my mind somewhere. But, enough other things have happened in life, and also venting things out loud to everyone that obviously I think I'm a little bit brighter just because, life moves on. Well, keep moving forward, people. Keep moving forward.
Yeah, well, I mean, you said at the start, as always, I feel like I've not been as regular this week, so I've still got all of that.
Do you need some fiber?
Yeah, well, the therapy that we bring each other here at Daily Wolves, I feel like I've been missing out on it somewhat. So, I'm looking forward to, being able to vent a bit.
Nice. So I'll try and push my incoherent babble to the side, and we will move forward. So obviously we've had we've had a bunch of rants and raves this week about all of the stuff from last weekend. We met up, Nathan and I met up with some of the guys from the Southampton podcast on our weekly crossover to get some thoughts from them on the coming game this weekend. Obviously, some of mine came into that conversation, but I suppose, therefore, I'll start, Will, asking you, how are you feeling about the game this weekend? Is there a sense of foreboding for you, like the rest of us?
I think I'm going to answer that as a two-part question because the game in isolation, I'm relatively confident for. I think this could be the weekend in which we finally see, us pick up those 3 points that have been evading us for so long. But I mean, and where this second part is going. It's just I almost don't want us to win. I know that's so bad, but it's just going to be delaying the inevitable. And I just, yeah. I think that that feeling that GSPN Daily Wolves has been giving us this season has just started to come over me as I started to sort of just think about the fact that if we win, O'Neill will be in a job for goodness knows however much longer, but it will be a case of delaying the inevitable, I think.
The thing is, though, we've spoken a lot about how this is obviously it is a huge game either way, but could be potentially a massive game in terms of his future. Is it just me, though, or is there a sense that, no matter what the result, the people who are, like you said, there's almost an inkling of wanting a failure just to move on from O'Neill. But is there not a sense that we've seen the signs that they're going to stick with him no matter what, and that isn't necessarily a worthy idea because it won't make a difference in the long-term impact because this is their their guy.
I hear you. I just hate it.
I don't think it's out the realms of possibility to say that
really not.
If we were to, heaven forbid, lose on Saturday, it's Saturday. That it'll just not make a difference in terms of the management.
No, and it's annoying me how correct you are with that, and it's not a thought I want to be thinking. And especially when you sort of rewind going into this season, that's not ever the way I thought I would be speaking about O'Neill. But we've sacked a lot of managers for a lot less, and no other club would stand for this. And the only reason, and let this be known as well, the only reason that they wouldn't let him go after even a defeat, as you mentioned, is purely just for financial reasons. That is it, and just for no care or thought, but for themselves. That being, Fosun and Jeff Shee, because you're gonna get relegated if the results don't change, and they're not changing. It's that simple. So it wouldn't make sense from a footballing point of view. So yeah.
I mean, also to play again, I feel like I'm playing devil's advocate today, but there's also the the piece to this that this was Matt Hobbs' guy, right? Because Jeff Shee, as far as I'm aware, was out of the country when the management decision was basically made. This is Matt Hobbs' choice, essentially, right? And so he was all like, yeah, he gave me this amazing presentation. This is the guy. This could be a big deal for us, long-term commitment, blah, blah, blah. And so there's also a lot riding on him for this, because if this doesn't work and say they did, worst case scenario, say with us, say Gary Neal goes, what does that mean for Matt Hobbs in his credibility and his future, in terms of he doesn't necessarily want to have to kick O'Neill out the door, because it was his decision at the end of the day. It seems he's put the most into this.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And there's a couple of points I want to, make just based off that. First of all, my initial thought is, doesn't it all just seem a bit like jobs for the boys kind of thing? Just the way you pitched that just then. But I also think, in a more serious note, that it's like, I would say Hobbs and his credibility has gone somewhat downhill. Just not just in relation to the O'Neill, but just the summer window as well. I feel like he was given an easy ride at times by people blaming Jeff Shee, and rightly so, and Fossum as a whole. But at the end of the day, Hobbs is still given the thumbs up or down to transfers that have or have not been made. And the other point that you reminded me of just at the start of you asking that question was, you spoke about Jeff Shee being out of the country when the decision was made, which bonkers. I don't understand that. I mean, I just don't get it. But that's just reminded me of we saw some Champions League football take place during the week.
Yeah, I was gonna. This was gonna be one of my points, which you've got to. But before you go there, when you spoke about Matt Hobbs' credibility already being hampered, that therein actually doubles down on my point that there's even more riding on his backing of O'Neill, because of the signing situation, or the choices, should we say, over squad depth and who we're getting in and all this kind of thing, and the centre back situation and all of that. So you could arguably say there's more riding on his backing of O'Neill on top of that, on top of everything else.
Yeah, no, and I wouldn't disagree with it. I just, I think regardless of the result, they're going to have to make that tough decision at some point.
Yeah.
And it does just feel like all three of them involved, in terms of O'Neill, Hobbs, and Shee, are all to blame partially for their own individual mistakes and poor leadership skills that have got us into this situation. They've all, contributed in different ways to that. I suppose it just comes down to, who's blamed the most, up to the personal point of view. But I think for me, what's most important is, what's on the pitch. So that's why. As much as it will give Hobbs the blame and it will look bad on him, I think we've got bigger fish to fry.
No, I know that, but I'm just again like saying that these are factors that could play into how long O'Neill is given, or the situations behind the scenes, because there's so many other factors that come into it. Because you mentioned money, and on top of that, I'm just pointing out the people's careers and credibility and egos and all this other stuff comes into this. All comes into play, because as much as we want it to be about on the pitch, there's a lot of other things that come into it as a business, and as people, like I say, like in the people's individuals' futures come into it.
But sorry, just before you go on, that's exactly what could cost us relegation.
Totally.
And it's so stupid. But yeah, sorry, I interrupted there.
Totally. But above all else, what's important is that no matter, aside from all of that, I never want to wish us to lose. So I'm hoping more than anything, and I think I've said it before, that I'm proven wrong, and that we're all proven wrong, and that we win on Saturday, and then we go on and it all works out. I'd love nothing more than for it to work out for O'Neill after all this time. I mean, because above all, I want Wolves to do well. I want my club
Yes.
to do well, and if that means that he can be successful, then I'm all for it, because that means that we'll all be proven wrong, and it's just a bad start, and things will just they'll just work out their human errors, and things will. I want that to be the case more than anything. That would be a dream.
And dreaming is indeed for free,
It
as someone once
is.
famously
It
said.
is. So and on that beautiful note, before we move on to the other topic that I think we were both mingling on in our minds beforehand, I'll just take a moment to remind everyone that here at the Global Sports Podcast Network, we did spend a lot of time selecting our delivery platform, and Zencastr came out the clear winner with 4K video recording from your phone and AI editing that automatically removes all those ums and ahs. It's super easy to start a podcast that sounds great and is delivered efficiently. If you're ready to tell your story, check out the link in the show description to learn more about Zencastr. All right, Will, you mentioned as I was looking up the name, because I'm terrible at this name pronunciation.
Yeah, we're definitely on about the same thing.
So you mentioned Champions League football this week and a certain person who did really well. So I'm going to drop that nugget on you and let you go from there.
Oh, so you're leaving it to me to butcher the pronunciation of the name?
Sure, but I mean, you don't even have to mention the name, but I don't know how you want to do it. But you go with the topic.
Yeah, it was just when you mentioned about Jeff Shee being out of the country, it reminded me of Victor Gyökeres, I want to say.
Well done.
I reckon that's right. Scoring a hat trick for Sporting Lisbon against Manchester. How did I, get the Gyökeres pronunciation and mess up Man City? Anyway, scoring a hat trick against them, and it's someone who is very, very closely linked to Wolves, and we were leading the race to sign him after his good season with Coventry in the Championship. But the deal, didn't get over the line because she was out of the country, and so Sporting pounced on us, stalling and snapped up the deal as quick as. And it's just things like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, we now all love Strand Larsen. But there's so many things like that I think are just testament to how badly the club has been run over the past couple of years. And you can there's so many little things like that, whether it be signings that haven't been made or ones that have been made and shouldn't have been made, or players who have come and gone, or players who have been treated badly by Fosun and the board. And especially with the current position that we're in, and then you add all of those little factors to it that have gone on over recent years, you could really make a sort of timeline of events and just see it getting more and more sort of badly run, and it costing us more and more. And I just feel like there's little things like that I don't know. Do you feel like we're just getting towards a sort of tipping point in some sense, like until we do potentially go down, and that seems like the only way Fosun will learn from their mistakes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think we could end up in one of those situations where, I mean, it may be too late, or hopefully not, by the way, the January window comes, but we could end up in another situation like under Lopetegui where because I think they will, and a few people have said, and I agree, that they will protect when push comes to shove. They'll try and protect their status. So I think if we are in the midst of the relegation fight come the January window, that they will put their hand in their pocket. I believe that, because we saw it under Lopetegui when that, and yes, he obviously was demanding of certain things, but I still think a big part of that was the battle we were in and fighting the situation. So I think they would do the same again.
Yeah, my only worry is if we leave it that late again, we don't have a World Cup in the middle of the season, giving us weeks of however many weeks break it was that it gave us, and delaying that season further along, giving us more time. We don't have that now, so every every second counts.
Totally, but obviously, apart outside of management, in terms of the players
Yeah.
themselves, that's the window. So they have to, in terms of adding to the squad depth, centre back, for example, or anywhere else, that's where they're going to have to hold it till. But I firmly believe when that time comes, they'll, unless you're looking at free transfers or whatever. Yeah.
Can I just ask you, just based on that, if you were to make, sorry, this is a bit wild card Wednesday of me on a Friday, but if you were to just make one signing now, like realistic, let's say we're fast forwarded to January, who would you get in?
Oh my gosh, dude! Don't do this to me.
I know that's
I'm.
no, because there's one name that's just sprung into my mind, which I feel like I might get absolute pelters for.
Then go for it, because my mind goes when you put me on the spot like that. My mind goes blank with names, so I'm the worst person to ask that.
Harry Maguire.
Harry Maguire, is he? He's not. No, because is he still frozen out in the cold kind of thing at the moment?
He's not getting game time.
Obviously, we're going to
And
see a shift of things at Man U, so there's a chance that could change.
I hope not, because he's not playing. He was linked with West Ham, and they instead got Kilman in the summer. I just think that would fit like a glove.
Yeah, no,
I think that'd be perfect.
To be fair, I can see it, and I think given what we have at the back at the moment, that would be a solid addition.
Sorry, I just genuinely felt a wave of excitement come over me at the thought of a back three, of Bueno, my beloved, on the right, Dawson, Maguire. That is immense. That'd be phenomenal.
That would be phenomenal, but you realise it'd be a back four, so it would be Maguire and Dawson, for example.
No, but that changed it so much.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Speaking of which, in terms of the weekend, to summarise that point, though, we missed out on what is potential. What could have been another exciting summer signing, due to Jeff Shee being outside of the UK at that point, I guess. In the
sorry,
holiday.
What does that even mean? Though he was just on holiday.
I don't know. Maybe like Parliament, they go on holiday in the summer for how many weeks? Because obviously the government shuts down. But
yeah, I just don't get it.
But looking ahead to the weekend, though, I mean, you said you're, as a game in itself, as like a singular situation, you're feeling positive, too strong a word?
No, not at all. I think, we've all seen, and it was discussed on the crossover episode, and it's common knowledge of Southampton's style of play this year. I think that probably coincides nicely with the fact that we can't seem to keep the ball to save our lives, or at least we couldn't against Palace. But I do see it, and I don't want to say smash and grab, but I do see it playing out like that,
Yeah, I mean, they love to play out from the back. It's been confirmed, like the manager has reiterated that he's going to stick with his system. He's not going to change anything, and they're going to keep, which is great, I think, for us. Because I'm hoping if we push as aggressively as we did for points last season, we've seen patches of that this season. I don't feel like we've always been as, partly, I guess, maybe for some of the teams we've played, but even then, we don't seem to have necessarily pressed coherently as a unit as much. You see individuals doing it or in clusters, but not that full-on team press. But this is the team to do it against, right? This is the team. They've made mistakes, and this is the time to be aggressive.
Yeah, no, 100%. Especially at home, and especially I said it against Palace. I'll say it again now. This game is bigger than big. Especially, I can't remember off the top of my head who our fixtures are after the international break. But if we don't pick up 3 points here, I struggle to see where we are going to pick up those points given the way we're playing. So that, it has to change this weekend. And like you said, it seems the perfect opposition for it to change against.
Yeah, I mean, call me crazy, and I know there's all this debate on back four and back five. I think this is where I would actually go back four and be aggressive. Like we said, be aggressive, take it to them, and just because we want the early goal, I think we want to get out, like get stuck in, put them on the back foot. And what I'd love to see, bear with me, I'm going to run through a little lineup here, because obviously your back four, I think, in my dream, would be obviously Semedo, then Bueno and Dawson, Ait-Nouri, then holding two of, say, or like the deep two of, say, Gomez or Lamina and Doyle, for example, and then in the hole there's like a number. Wait, hang on, what are we looking at here? So then actually you've got on the left. I'd put like on the left front wing kind of Cunha.
Yeah.
In the hole, Sarabia in the 10 role. Front right wing Guedes, and then Larson up front.
Yes, no, I can get on board with that. I think the only thing I'd change with that is I wouldn't play Sarabia again after his performance, just on a performance based analysis of against Palace.
I'm going to be one of his lone defenders because I feel like despite the fact that he didn't get the goal that he arguably should have, you can also argue that he has hardly played this season because he's been frozen out pretty much. So he's a little bit rusty. On top of that, he at least got himself in those situations.
Yeah,
and we haven't seen many outside of Larson and Cunha. There isn't anyone else that's really put themselves in those positions.
No, you are right. I just think, I mean, you speak about the pressing with any sort of real intensity, and this would be the perfect team to do that against. I would actually drop him for Andre and play Andre sitting and Doyle a bit further up, because we've seen how creative Doyle can be, and I think he's probably got a bit more tenacity and off the ball defensive work rate than Sarabia. And if that can transition us high up the pitch, with the creativity to make it count as well into getting us into good goal scoring chances, then I think that'd be a more effective sort of way of lining up. Either or.
I can see that. That's why I think the holding two could be. There's so many options there of combinations, because between Andre, Lamina, Gomez, and Doyle, like the deep two for me could be pretty much any of them. But the reason I like Sarabia in the hole against a team like Southampton is because he's one of the few creatives that he'll be looking to play like over the top through balls or little dink passes, and he'll find the pockets of space in a team that wants to potentially sit and play out from the back and be deep. He'll find he's great at finding space, and he's really good at playing intelligent little passes. And I think against a team that is not necessarily going to come at you, then in the way that like a Man City would, because they are going to be more protective. We struggle to break teams down that do that. Sometimes that's my only concern. And so he has the ability to kind of find those pockets of space and play other people into dangerous situations.
Yeah, I mean, no, you are right, but I suppose we'll just have to see what, tactical maestro Mr. O'Neill comes up with.
Don't get me wrong, he's going to be back on the bench. I know it, but I just feel like I think he's being a little bit harsh done. I am Sarabia's fan.
No, this is true. O'Neill doesn't like him, does he?
And I feel like he did at least get himself in the positions for people to be thinking he should have scored. Those are good situations he's got himself into, even though he's not really a right winger. He's still put himself in positions to score goals. I mean, that's all you can ask of him. He's put himself in dangerous situations, and he's practically knocked out the keeper with one of them.
Well, that is the only thing I would say, again, playing devil's advocate, is he didn't score that, and that's what people will have the issue with, unfortunately.
But that's why I did at least say Guedes. I think Guedes is a chance to start. We keep seeing him come on late. He scored in the cup twice. He's looked good. He got an assist in the last game. We've seen the likes of Gomez at the beginning of the season. I'm talking about Rodrigo Gomez. We've seen Forbes come on. I feel like Guedes has earned his opportunity to start a game, surely, after all this time. And I think this is one of the places that he would suit potentially to help Semedo on that right flank.
Yeah, no, 100%. And we're speaking a lot about the attackers here, but I do just want to mention that, we have to keep it tight at the back. We can't be relying, especially against this Southampton team that can't seem to buy goals. Having said that, they've just come off the back of their first league win. But do you know what I mean? This, we have to keep it tighter than tight.
We do.
And hopefully, Chris, we get our first 3 points.
Hopefully, although I did say, and the Southampton guys said that our record against them in recent years is really good. But therefore, given everything, the fact that they've just won their first game and our record against them is fantastic, it feels like it's written in the stars that we won't get anything, because that would be typical Wolves, right? And we
I
all
was going to
know,
say, yeah.
we all know that in Wolves history, our general theme, and it's inescapable through the years, is that we, up until this season, we do well against the top teams and lose against the teams at the bottom. So this is arguably the kind of game we are usually losing, because we never beat the teams that we should be beating.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would. You just couldn't write it, could you? Yeah. In fact, the more I think about it, the more it seems like the most Wolves thing ever. And I do think if it does go that way, one thing that I do want to touch on, and it will be interesting to see, is the atmosphere at Molineux if we don't get a result and things start going badly, which obviously, of course, like you said, we hope more than anything that they don't. I don't know. I think it'll be interested to see how that is relayed in terms of the energy from the fans, and how that sort of is directed. Will it be towards O'Neill, Fossum potentially as well? Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
just I just want to sort of brace ourselves for how potentially toxic it could get.
Yeah, it's very much going to depend on, obviously, the journey the game takes. I said yesterday
Mm,
that if, for example, heaven forbid, Southampton scored first, that would be, I think that would just be like, that would turn things absolutely sour within moments. I will say that, obviously, as always, I hope that everyone gets behind the team from the off and gives them the
yes.
opportunity, rally around, because whatever's going on off the pitch, we want them to do well. So
Yeah.
let's everyone get behind them from the start and hope that they carry that motivation into a good performance. But yeah, if it starts to go wrong in that manner, I can see it not turning out very well. So
Mm.
I'm just gonna hope for positive vibes, people. Positive vibes.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because I was going to speak about something that just to really boost the positive vibes. And if this isn't a good omen, Chris, then I don't know what is. But
Okay.
I've been seeing rumors throughout the week that a special someone is going to be in attendance on Saturday.
I'm trying to think if I've
Um,
heard this rumor. Go on.
yeah, well, by the looks of it, probably not.
Oh,
The King,
yep. Yeah.
yeah, Ruben Neves. Apparently, I mean, he's currently he's out injured, and is in Europe, receiving treatment. I think it might be a knee injury. I'm not too sure. Um, And so, yeah, I don't know where the rumors have come from, but I've seen it being spoken about a lot. And there is confirmation that I think he last was in Finland, but he's certainly in Europe,
Hmm.
receiving treatment. And I pray for his sake if he's there. I don't want him to see us like this, Chris. I don't
No,
like it.
no. Can I, just to break your heart on any dreams of like an impending comeback? Can I just point out that he did recently sell his house in Tettenhall just in the last few weeks. You've still got one there, and it's now no longer his. Or
Look,
it's, yeah,
look, he's not short of a few quid. He can buy another one
I know.
sometime soon, I'm sure.
Just pointing out. Just pointing out.
Okay, don't. Just
Sorry,
don't.
sorry. Um. All right. So before we get on to final thoughts and predictions, I'll just take a moment to remind everyone that this podcast is, of course, part of the Global Sports Podcast Network, the only network bringing you exclusive daily news and views on your Premier League team. The Premier League, women's football, and fantasy football. A unique listening experience that puts fans first, bringing you the very latest breaking news from your team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and make us your first listen every day. Global Sports Podcast Network. Every club,
Every
every
day.
day. Nice. All right. I did give my thought on a prediction. I'll do another one in a moment, but Will, what is your predicted scoreline for this crucial
um,
home game?
I think a solid 2-0 win. I think we'll beat. Southampton sort of keeping the ball and all that, we'll sort of get 2 goals from turning over possession quickly and getting us up the pitch. But the more I think about it, the less fussed I am about the result, and the more I just want to see Ruben. So that's all I'm really bothered about. I mean, I want O'Neil sacks either way, actually. So yeah, that's all. I won't be watching the game. I'll just be, just playing I Spy.
Oh my gosh, he's going to be stalking.
That was cringy.
That is really cringy. You're creeping me out now. Well, I will say again for anyone who missed the crossover, or I'm sure they're going to go back and rewind and check it out. But just to spoilerific you, I hope more than anything that you're right, and it's a nice, easy 2-0 win. However,
yeah,
the pessimist in me absolutely fears that this is going to be an absolutely torrid 1-1 draw.
Yeah, that'd probably be the worst result. That's how I felt after Palace. I felt like that was the worst possible sort of outcome. Was a draw.
Yeah.
Just leaves you just with all the same answers and questions and well, I was going to say hopes, but hopes that you have going into the game.
Then
it just solves nothing.
Then it'll be unbeaten in 3. Unbeaten in 3. Can't knock it.
Oh, I don't like it.
No, seriously, I do hope more than anything that it's a nice 2-0 win. I'd love it. Let's say goals from Larson and Cunha, but in the back of my mind, that other flashing scoreline is just lingering. I'm just putting it out there to cover my bases. I've got 2 predictions in one.
Yeah, I'm just not thinking about it.
Okay, all right. Well, you don't think about it. You fascinate on your idol.
I was going to say, what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, we all do. We all do. You don't want to see his room. All right. So on that bombshell, any final thoughts, Will? Should we leave the people in peace?
I think, we'll leave them in peace and give them the opportunity to rest up before what could be, the best Molineux has felt all season, or, the exact opposite.
Yeah. It's going to be the best or the worst.
Yeah.
It's the best of times. It was the worst of times. I feel like we go on off on one. All right, everyone, take care. Let's have an amazing weekend, and let's, no matter what, when that whistle kicks off, let's give everything we've got. Get behind the team.
Yes.
And hopefully bring home the beloved 3 points that we all love and crave.
Out of darkness cometh light.
You just had to steal my lines again. Take care, everyone.
Club, every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.